The movie begins with a girl named Nancy. She lives a perfect life in Holland with her family. But her life remains perfect only until she starts suspecting her husband. She feels he's hiding something from her. One day, while doing laundry, Nancy finds a letter in her husband's pocket. It has a girl's name written on it. Since she has work, she goes to her husband's office. There, Nancy sees a model of the city of Holland. In that model, several houses are connected by streets. Nancy wonders why Fred would need such a model. Fred is an eye doctor. Nancy becomes certain that Fred is hiding something from her. Nancy is a teacher. She talks to her colleague Dave about her husband. She says, "I doubt my husband. He's hiding something from me. I want to find out what it is. I need your help." Dave refuses. He says, "This is your personal matter. I don't want to get involved." She then goes home. Nancy, in a fit of anger, starts cooking, but ends up spoiling all the food. Fred notices her anger. At the dining table, he says, "If I've done anything wrong, please forgive me." Nancy behaves in a way that doesn't let Fred suspect she doubts him. But inside, Nancy goes crazy wondering why Fred is asking for forgiveness in the first place. Later that night, after everyone is asleep, she goes into the gallery. Fred's belongings are there. She finds a hidden camera. Nancy grows even more worried, wondering why Fred would hide a camera. As she's checking everything, she suddenly hears noises from outside the house. Frightened, she picks up a hammer and goes out to check. Near the dustbin, there's a raccoon. It runs away the moment it sees her. When she turns back, she notices the lights inside the house are turned on. She sees a shadow of a woman with Fred in the room. At the same moment, she sees her son outside the house. He is wearing a festival costume and heading into the forest. Nancy follows him. While following, she reaches a road. There, she sees several dead bodies near her feet. In the next moment, all the dead bodies vanish. Nancy finds herself submerged in water. Suddenly, she wakes up. Everything from the time she was cooking to being underwater was just a dream. Nancy keeps getting such dreams because she thinks about Fred all day long. The next day, Nancy meets Dave again at a restaurant. She tells him, "My suspicion that Fred is having an affair is growing stronger. I want to catch him red-handed. I need your help." Dave still doesn't want to help her. But when Nancy holds his hand, he agrees because deep down, Dave likes her. Then he asks, "What should I do?" Nancy replies, "You need to go to Fred for an eye checkup. Then, use the bathroom and open the window. That way, at night, we can enter Fred's clinic through that window and investigate." As Nancy instructed, Dave goes to Fred for an eye checkup, even though he doesn't actually have any eye problem. Fred says, "You're a teacher, right? You work at the same school where Nancy teaches, don't you?" Upon hearing Nancy's name, Dave becomes very nervous. He replies, "I'm very introverted. I don't interact much with any of the teachers. I don't really know anyone." Dave's fear keeps growing. He wants to leave the place. But Fred stops him and puts drops in his eyes. Fred says, "I need to check a bit more. You'll have to stay a while longer." As soon as Fred steps away, Dave gets up and tries to leave. But just then, a policeman walks in. Seeing the policeman, Dave panics as if he's committed a murder. He immediately goes to the washroom. Following Nancy's instructions, he opens the washroom window and places a paper to keep it from closing. After finishing his task, he tries to leave. But Fred's assistant stops him and says, "Your checkup isn't finished yet." Because there are still some drops in his eyes, Dave can't see properly. As a result, he almost gets into an accident, but narrowly escapes. He then reaches Nancy's car. Dave is terrified. He tells her, "I'm not going to support you anymore." Nancy is thankful for the help he's given so far. He risked his life to help her. The two of them become emotional and grow closer. At this point, it's not just Dave, Nancy also likes him. Later that night, as per their plan, Nancy has to check Fred's clinic. So Nancy tells Fred that she's going to a night party at her friend's house and leaves. She heads to the clinic along with Dave. Once they reach, Nancy enters the clinic through the washroom window. Meanwhile, the woman who was supposed to host the party calls Fred. Here, Nancy's cover story gets exposed. The woman tells Fred that her son has a severe eye infection and urges him to come to the clinic immediately. She takes her son there as well. So Fred leaves his own son alone at home and rushes to the clinic. Inside the clinic, we see Nancy. She finds several debit cards belonging to Fred and notes down the number from one of them. She also discovers an album filled with photos of various houses. All these photos were taken using the hidden camera Fred had. Before Nancy can investigate further, Dave calls her and says that Fred has arrived. Shocked, Nancy hurries to leave, but in the rush, one of her earrings falls onto Fred's model. At the clinic, Fred is examining the boy's eyes. Afterward, he casually asks the woman if she and Nancy are enjoying the party. The woman replies, "Nancy never came to my house." That's when Fred realizes Nancy lied to him. Next, we see Nancy at Dave's house. The two grow emotionally close. Meanwhile, Fred enters a secret room inside his clinic. There, he finds the city model and Nancy's earring on it. That's when he realizes she had come to the clinic. Everything seems normal on the surface. But then, some students show up outside Dave's house. They're angry because Dave had given them punishment at school, and they've come to warn him. Later, Dave tells Nancy, "I can't keep living a hidden life like this. If you want to be with me, you'll have to divorce your husband." Nancy replies, "No, I can't do that. I still love Fred. But if I ever find out he's cheating on me, I'll divorce him and come to you." She continues, "There's another problem. Fred is in a much better financial position than I am. If we divorce, he'll get custody of our son. I can't live without my son." She then returns home and goes to sleep. That night, she dreams again. This time she sees her son walking away from her, drifting farther and farther. She wakes up in fear, only to find Fred sitting at her feet. He asks her, "How was your night out?" Nancy lies and says, "It was great." Even though Fred realizes Nancy lied to him, he doesn't question her about it. Instead, he behaves as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, Nancy resumes her mission. She starts investigating the debit card she found in Fred's clinic. Upon checking the statement, she discovers that a very expensive gift was purchased using that card. Later, when Nancy enters her room, she finds a gift box on her bed. Fred bought the gift for her. Seeing it, Nancy feels genuinely happy. Fred also returns the earring Nancy had lost in the clinic and reassures her by saying, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." His calm and caring demeanor makes Nancy feel relaxed and emotionally at ease. A few days later, there's a party at Nancy's workplace. Dave attends the party too. Nancy enjoys his company immensely. Even after returning home, she keeps thinking about him. At this point, she starts liking Dave more than ever before. She calls him and says, "I want to be with you." Dave responds by saying she has to do one small task, collect concrete evidence against Fred. With that evidence, she can file for divorce, and the two of them can finally be together without fear or secrecy. Nancy agrees, and Dave promises to help her. The next day, they begin executing their plan. They start following Fred. That day, they learn Fred has booked a hotel room. They make a plan Dave will distract Fred downstairs, while Nancy sneaks into the hotel room to investigate. Nancy enters the room and finds strange items like handcuffs. She wonders what Fred could possibly be using them for. Downstairs, Dave struggles to keep Fred distracted for long. Realizing time is running out, he urgently calls Nancy. She exits the room quickly. Based on what they found, Dave concludes that Fred is definitely having an affair. He tells Nancy, "We're just one step away now. We need a picture of Fred with his girlfriend. With that, you can divorce him, and we can finally be together." Nancy agrees to the plan. In the next scene, Nancy returns home and once again inspects Fred's model. This time, she finds a file inside it. The file contains the blueprints of several houses. This strikes her as odd. She immediately begins researching those houses and, to her shock, discovers that each one is connected to a case where a dead body was found. All the victims were women. Each case was labeled a murder, and the killer was never caught. At this point, it becomes clear, Fred is a serial killer. While Nancy is busy with her work, Dave is also busy with his. He follows Fred to a house in the forest. Then, a woman comes out to meet Fred. Dave thinks this is the best time and quickly takes out his camera. When Fred meets the woman, Dave takes several photos. To collect more evidence, Dave enters the house. When he goes into the room, he sees Fred tying up the woman, stopping her from coming close to him. Fred slits her throat with a knife. Blood flows rapidly, and within moments, she dies. Dave realizes Fred is a killer. Shocked by what he sees, Dave is frozen in place. Just then, Fred sees him. Fred comes toward Dave to kill him with a knife, but Dave jumps out of the window to escape. Fred follows him outside to kill him. Fred says, "I know. You and Nancy are following me." Hearing that, Dave is terrified. He runs toward the lake's edge. There's a boat there. Dave tries to start the boat and escape, but Fred grabs his throat from behind, trying to strangle him. Then, Dave grabs the knife from Fred's hand and stabs him in the stomach. Fred falls into the water. Dave is finally saved. He thinks he has killed Fred. But that's not what happens. At sunrise, Dave returns to town. He burns the clothes he wore when he killed Fred. Then he sees many missed calls from Nancy during the night. Dave wants to tell her the truth about Fred. But when he meets Nancy, he tells her a different story. He says, "I caught Fred red-handed. I took photos of Fred and his girlfriend. Then I showed them to Fred and told him to stay away from both you and me. Fred agreed and left our lives." Nancy is very surprised. She says, "Fred loved me a lot. He made so many promises. How could he just leave me so easily?" Dave replies, "Just like that." Nancy believes Dave's story. She stays with him. But every day, she lives in fear that Fred will come and kill her like the other women. Meanwhile, Dave's mental condition worsens because he keeps having dreams about killing Fred. A few days later, Nancy takes her son to a festival happening in Holland. There, her friends ask Nancy about her husband. Nancy says Fred has gone on a vacation. Then another friend says, "Fred hasn't come back yet? I saw him earlier at the festival." Hearing that, Nancy becomes very scared. When she looks around, she sees Fred. In fear, she looks around for her son. When she can't find him, she stands up and keeps looking. At that moment, she meets Dave. Dave comes with a gun. Then Nancy realizes that Dave might have brought the gun to kill her son because Dave doesn't want her son to come between them. That makes her very angry at Dave. Nancy then takes her son and goes home. Dave also goes to her house. He wants to tell her the whole truth. Dave tells Nancy, "When I was following Fred, I saw something horrifying. Fred didn't get close to the woman he met. He slit her throat and killed her. I saw everything. Then Fred saw me and chased me. We reached a lake. Fred tried to kill me. To save myself, I grabbed his knife and stabbed him. He fell into the water. I killed him." Hearing all that, Nancy is shocked. Then she tells Dave the shocking news that Fred is still alive and has come back. Nancy's son overhears their conversation. He realizes that his father is a serial killer. Dave doesn't believe Fred is still alive. He thinks Nancy is saying that to protect Fred. Burdened by the guilt of killing Fred, Dave feels exhausted. He decides to surrender to the police. But as he's calling the police, Nancy grabs the phone from him and pushes him. Dave gets hit on the head. Then Nancy takes his gun and tells him not to worry, that she's going to get help, and leaves. Outside, Nancy sees Fred. Fred has their son with him. After Nancy goes to Fred, he tells her he wants to talk alone. Fred says, "Forget everything you know. Let's restart life. I'll leave it all behind." Nancy agrees. She gets into the car with Fred, along with her son. Then she points the gun at Fred and tells her son to run. After her son gets out, Nancy shoots Fred. Since it's the first time she's using a gun, the bullet doesn't kill him, it just grazes his ear. Fred becomes angry. He attacks Nancy and tries to kill her. But her son sees her in danger and rushes back. He pushes Fred from behind. Then Nancy takes off her shoe and hits Fred on the head repeatedly. After hitting him many times, Fred dies. Nancy hugs her son and takes a deep breath in relief. Later, Nancy and Dave get married. The three of them live together as a happy family. That's how the movie ends. Thank you for watching our movie recap. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more great content. Your support means a lot to us. Have a wonderful day.